Will they make a movie about anything? The most famous movie critics in the world, I've never heard of them. Generic control and the That Goes Moo here, back with another nostalgia group video. Today we are doing top 11 funniest Siskel and Ebert reviews. I'm not sure if it's Siskel or not, but he mentioned these guys a couple months ago, I want to say. I think they had like a late night show thing where they like did reviews on movies and shows and stuff like that. I'm not very familiar with them. I had never heard of them until Doug mentioned them, but this has been requested for quite a long time. Last week's video was another top 11 video about funny things, but it was the top 11 funniest Disney villains from 11 Disney movies. I have not seen a single one of those. I learned that Kronk is technically a bad guy or is a himbo or something like that. You can check out my reaction to that video. I'll leave it right up there. Also, link down below in the description. Also, in a place on my channel with all my other nostalgic reactions. Go to chronological order if you want to binge watch to all of them. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and hopefully I can make it just tiny little bit better. And also, shout out to the patrons, because I could not do this if it was not for them. Past couple months have been very, very rough on YouTube, and I wouldn't be able to make videos if it was not for the patrons. I'm completely serious when I say that. So shout out to the patrons, and with nostalgic videos, if there is a charity shout out at the end of the video, whatever that video makes in the first day, it will go to that charity. So if there's one in this video, whatever this video makes in the first day will go to that charity, and I'll show that in the beginning of the next video. But let's go ahead and jump into top 11 funniest Siskel and Ebert reviews. All right. Now, I've like never heard of these guys until Doug mentioned them a couple months ago. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think they did like reviews on like a late night show or something like that. I want to say that's what it was. I might be wrong in that though. But also, we're like 1,700 subscribers, less than 1,700 subscribers away from 100,000, which is just absolutely insane. And also, shout out to the patrons, because I could not do this if it was not for them. And they allow me to do things like donate to the charity shout out if there is one.
Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic guy. Remember it so you don't have to. Siskel and Ebert.
Oh, it is Siskel. Okay.
Arguably the most famous critics who ever lived. Even years after their deaths, people still
sad.
remember their reviews, their personalities, even their thumbs. In my opinion, a good critic should do two things: offer a unique and interesting point of view, and do so in a passionate and entertaining way. While their points of view were indeed great, it's the entertainment part that kept us coming back. Despite their, quote, professional relationship, Siskel and Ebert acted like emotional children more times than can be counted.
And we'll also take a look at a new film about a friendship between a boy and a whale.
Sort of reminds me of our relationship.
Damn!
That's just how friends talk.
Whose name would be first in the show's title. They
also, hopefully nothing has
each other's
copyright
physical
issues.
appearances.
Please
They
don't.
even bickered about who would sit closest to the desk on a talk show, to the point where the host had to sit in between them to shut them up. Even when doing the promos, they couldn't stop pissing each other off.
That's this week on Siskel and Ebert and the movie. And the asshole. And that's Roger.
And when it came to the movies they reviewed, they were just as entertaining.
I mean, it's obviously just a show thing.
Cinema that united them whenever they were on screen. Whether they liked the film, hated it, or disagreed on it, there was an absolute passion for it every time. Not surprisingly, two big personalities with a lot of big thoughts
they also had to be
resulted in
entertaining.
a lot of big laughs. It was wonderful to see them get so into it.
Also,
Whether they were angry at the
was
film
this?
or each other, you couldn't help but appreciate how much they loved talking about it. But at the same time, giggle at just how angry they got. Now, of course, critics like myself never lose my temper.
Never.
Holy crap!
What about the back credit card?
How invested they were, especially during the funny parts.
But
So
also,
today,
Doug's trying to be
I'm gonna count
entertaining
down
with
the
that.
funniest arguments, funniest
Which,
rants, and
I
the
give
funniest
genuine
laughs
reactions.
these two
I don't
made
try
in
to
a
be
long
entertaining.
career of film reviewing.
This is how I
Now, keep in mind,
naturally
I'm
am
not
when I react to
including
things.
reviews done with Roper or other critics. Don't get me wrong, they were very passionate and entertaining too, but Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel truly had a connection that was one of a kind and couldn't be duplicated. And that's what I'm here to focus on and celebrate.
And this is a top
So
11.
get ready for their top 11 funniest moments. Why top 11? Because I like to go one step beyond.
Which I like that.
Sit back and enjoy
Instead
the
of
top
giving an
11
honorary
funniest
mention, he just does
Siskel and
11.
Ebert reviews.
It's a very unique thing. People seem to really enjoy these. Last week's video did really well with the Disney villains.
Number 11.
It's going to be...
Baby's Day Out is a different kind of movie.
Surprising to me, and let's just say it, everyone in existence, Siskel really liked Baby's Day Out. Apparently, it reminded him of old comedic silent
Never heard of it.
films.
It almost plays like an old-fashioned silent film. The old-fashioned look kept me involved as much as anything, and I have a
But
suspicion that little kids
those
will
would
really
still
eat
exist
up
if
this
people like
fantasy
those.
of the baby getting in
Would
trouble
they?
but not getting in trouble.
To nobody's surprise, Ebert thought Siskel was nuts.
This movie is not funny. It's way too long. The burglars, who are recycled right out of Home Alone,
yeah.
are really
Wait, so this came out after
Some
Home
of the
Alone?
arguments as
Okay.
to why almost seemed as strange as Siskel's recommendation.
I hated this movie more than any other movie on this show, and I'm really surprised at you. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Already kind of an odd start to a baby's day out argument.
I think a little child who sees this baby about to fall off of tall buildings and be crushed by big
But a kid
cars
wouldn't know
isn't going
that.
to know what's funny.
Yeah.
I guess
That's
it's
fair.
not funny, but I've yet to see social media attack, and they'll go after anything. Sure
Well,
enough, instead of talking about the film being a dumb
that
flick, they
Harambe?
get into what cinematic elements might scar children from watching Baby's Day Out, as
Why is
well
there
as what
baby-
cinematic elements apparently scarred Roger when he was younger.
I was 3.5 years old. I went to see a movie where Mickey Rooney was standing on a ledge outside a window. It was a comedy. Everybody was laughing. I was terrified.
As far as I'm concerned, Mr. Bean's Holiday is a thriller. You might as well take your kids to see Halloween.
Oh.
After Gene makes the threat that sensitive
Okay.
children could grow
I think I'm
up to
actually
be
gonna
like
do the kill
Roger
catch that
Ebert.
very
They
soon.
even argue about which theater each of them saw it at. Man, they could bitch about anything.
I better go back and find out who attended that sneak preview. I saw all those
There's
children are
a
in dear
lot of
jeopardy
creators out there
becoming-
that do
We
this. That have like
attended the
podcasts
same
where they just
screening,
like
and those kids were
completely
not with
fake
that movie.
We didn't
arguments.
attend it. I saw it in
I don't think
Michigan
this is
City,
necessarily
Indiana,
fake, but
last Saturday. So
Okay,
you're
well
wrong.
then, totally different audience.
But like you can tell
Touché.
that there's people that
It's a
try to
strange
copy
and awkward bit
this.
of comedy, but I
and go
guess
over
that
the
figures
top.
when you're reviewing a strange and awkward bit of comedy.
I'm really surprised at you. You should be ashamed of yourself.
What?
First of all,
for
the
not
movie-
agreeing with you? I've never been ashamed of that. I've been proud of that.
That's good. See, at least they're funny.
the new movie Alaska, which is in the old tradition of real-life nature adventures.
This time it's Gene's turn to ask what the hell were you thinking when Roger gives a positive review to a children's adventure named Alaska.
Why are they
about
doing
two kids
children's
climbing
movies?
mountains to save their dad.
On its own level, I enjoyed it. I imagine it's targeted at kids up to about 13, and I think a lot of them are going to love it.
Since neither of the kids were babies, Roger thought it was delightful,
Yeah,
but Gene
July
goes
1st.
right for the offense.
You know how you always say to me, you missed the boat on this one when we think we're far? You missed the harbor.
Oh, wow.
This is, I think, one of the most laughably bad pictures I've seen in a long time.
But Gene, too, gets in some weird
Do
reasons
they
why.
say like every
The word
movie is
father,
the
and
worst?
This is the movie, not other research. The word father is never mentioned for 40 minutes in this picture.
So what?
They're not talking or acting remotely like kids who's lost their father and trying to find.
Did you know Freddy never says the word human on his search for killing humans? Movie ruined.
Oh, wait.
They almost
Oh, well.
immediately jump into yelling at each other. Oh, I do hate it when Mom and Dad fight.
Your criticism of this movie is utterly irrelevant to the experience
that
of
yelling?
on the screen
No.
and would be meaningless to anyone seeing the film.
Wasn't meaningless to me.
After bringing up a legit criticism about how silly it is, nobody can find that plane. Which, as someone who reviewed that film, I can vouch for that.
Yeah.
They start
That's a
talking
weird
over
place
each
for that
other
to
like
be.
it's a political debate.
This movie,
Roger,
just sitting there
when you
nitpicking.
describe, I'm not Nick, I'm a major story, and the acting,
well, I'm sure
the
that a
acting by
lot of-
Charlton Heston.
Will the senator yield?
10-year-old kids are going to be
What?
saying, gee,
Right.
they didn't...
Finally, it ends with the ultimate test of Roger proving he likes this movie. He looks to the camera and says he likes this movie.
I just want you to say that you really enjoyed it yourself.
I did enjoy this
Okay.
movie. I
Looks
enjoyed
directly at the camera.
This movie.
I'm sure a lot of people felt this movie
it's
didn't
for
give
kids.
them much, but it did at least give them a pretty
And I've
funny
never
movie.
heard of it.
Incredible. How can you say that?
Okay.
Number 9.
So now we're playing the game of have I
Next
seen a
film is
single one of these
called
movies?
Frozen Assets, and we take a step way down in quality here. This is one of the dumbest comedies I have ever seen.
You're going very easy on it, I say.
So far.
I guess you have to include what they at the time declared the worst comedy
Frozen
they've ever
Asset.
seen.
I've never
Presumably
heard
so
of these
you.
movies,
I've never
let alone
even
see-
heard of this movie. But hearing both of them take sucker punches at it is really a lot of fun.
Not the only
It
one.
was as depressing an experience as I've ever had going to the movies. That's 23 years of going to the movies.
I mean, that
professionally.
was
maybe 6, 7.
The last Airbender for me.
Well, Gene, I was going to the movies professionally for 2 or 3 years before you were, and there was nothing I saw during that time that even approached this in its abysmal awfulness.
Hearing some of the
Oh, so they
jokes from
both
the
don't
film
like it.
about
Okay.
a dude who thinks he's managing a bank, but really it's a sperm bank, quickly shows where they're coming from. You know what? You can
What?
take it that way. The movie would.
Don't be shy. My door is open if you need a hand. 2 hands. Hey, I'll get down on all fours. That's how eager I am to please.
Oh.
It's pretty standard.
Are the decorations that similar?
Start to laugh at the fact that they probably saw the worst comedy ever made, but then realize they don't even want to give it that recognition, because then people might want to see it.
This is perhaps
Someone just said
the worst.
It's a nice day for you to not read my comment.
They may take the ad out.
That makes it sound good.
They get the second worst comedy ever made. They won't use it.
The movie is so bad that they start discussing what rewards
Gonna have to reply
they'll
that
be given
comment
in
in a
the
minute.
next life as karma for having to sit through it. And even that they review.
You know the theory of reincarnation, where the dues we pay in this lifetime,
Yes.
we may get to collect in another lifetime. For having seen this movie, I want months and months and months in a beautiful valley with honey and nectar and zephyr-like breezes.
You know, you have simple tastes. I couldn't.
And a big car.
This is a happy.
A big car?
Pretty amusing when a film is so bad you spend most of the
This is
review
a
fantasizing
set.
yourself dead and in another life where things apparently make more sense.
Not even the worst
Oh,
comedy
I
ever
get
made.
the
just
frozen
worst
assets
movie ever
now.
made. I don't know.
Because
Burbanks,
movie, yeah,
karma, and a
okay,
new
that
car.
story, yep.
Not what you'd expect in a normal review, but
That's a
that's
clever
part
name.
of what makes them so much fun to watch.
Get something valuable. Zephyr-like breezes.
Okay. So, was that 3 now I haven't seen?
Our
Never
next
heard
movie
of.
is not only the first feature in a long time, starring television's top star Bill Cosby.
Oh, I've heard
but
of
it
him.
is also one of the worst movies of the year.
Known both as one
What
of
is
the
it called?
biggest bombs ever made and one of the worst movies ever made. And I'm sure that's where the controversies about this film stop.
Yep.
Leonard Part 6 got a
Say
lot
Leonard?
of hate at the time. And
Leonard.
Ebert's dry delivery of how awful
Like-
the film is even has Gene in stitches. You can actually hear him snickering off camera.
Frogs, squirrels, and rainbow trout. Cosby knows he's in trouble when hitmen attack him in the kitchen of his restaurant. How highly, highly useless.
Never heard of it.
And yeah, it is pretty funny to hear him wrap up the review like this.
Bill Cosby, the richest man in show business,
Wait, he was?
$67.5 million income last year.
Oh,
reduced
wow. Back
to holding
then?
a Coca-Cola bottle next to his face in order to get a picture made at Columbia. He ought to be ashamed of himself.
Yes, Cosby
That's
should
it.
really be ashamed of himself for that Coke ad.
Yep. What was that, Coke 2?
Never gonna top that.
I did the top 11 Bill Cosby
And
commercials.
Siskel's
moments.
response is pretty much the perfect response.
Boy, you're upset.
Also, the quality
And you know
of these
I am
is
too.
old.
It's always kind of nice when you see them bond over a movie they like, but it's especially nice when they bond over a movie they hate. They see something so awful, they just have to laugh at the experience, like brothers in cinematic war.
Everybody knows that when you do a weekly television series, you only have a little bit of time every year to make a movie.
Right.
You can make about, it's like Tom Selleck's got the same problem. You can make about one movie a year.
Oh, wait,
But
he's talking about
the plus
Cosby?
is, you got 9 months to have you and your agents look for the right script. If this is the script they found, they ought to start doing a movie every other year.
And of course, you can't make fun of Cosby without a knock at Jell-O in there.
It'll be like,
and this is
getting,
before everything.
some of his Jell-O products that he sells and finding out that there's nothing in the box.
Well-
I guess you could make fun of him other ways. There's probably more appropriate jokes now. I mean, inappropriate jokes. I mean,
There's
don't
a
see
lot.
This movie. It's great to see them not only this angry, but also having a ton of fun being this angry.
You said he's prostituted himself. I say the fact is he's disappointed his
yes.
legions
Yes,
of
he
fans.
Oh, yeah, he definitely
No
did
idea
that.
How right you both are.
Yeah, and yeah, that they're so ahead of the times.
Number 7.
And our next film is Home Alone 3.
Hey,
Boy,
Yo.
does this franchise ever run out of gas.
This review
Have I
starts
seen this
off
one?
as standard as you would imagine. Gene rips the movie apart, mocking how unfunny
I've
and
heard of it.
predictable it is.
The story makes no sense. I feel for
I
every
think I've
family
seen
that's
it.
going to be suckered into seeing Home Alone 3.
But to Gene's surprise, and it
Which
almost
one
sounds
was
like
this?
to Roger's surprise, Roger likes it.
Now, this is going to astound you, but I'm
Where does
giving
one
the movie
take place?
thumbs
It
up.
does astound me. Are you okay?
Better than you were the day that you liked Starship Troopers.
Ooh, them fighting whites. What makes the review so funny is not only Ebert's argument, which, yeah, it does seem kind of bizarre.
is what?
This movie empowers little kids. This is the one where they finally got it right. I liked it better than the other two.
What?
Mainly Siskel's
Oh, that's a
reaction.
bold
It
take.
seems to mirror probably a lot of moviegoers' reactions as well.
It's not as violent as the second one. The kid is charming. He really is a good little actor. And the plot is
Macaulay
smarter.
Culkin?
I mean, let's be honest. Even the people that liked Home Alone 3 wouldn't think Ebert would like Home Alone 3. The look on Gene's face throughout the whole
He's like,
thing
"What?"
gives the impression that this must be a joke. It has to be. He seems to be saying to himself, "Who is
He's
this
like,
guy?
"Wait, what?
I mean, sure,
Who
I
are
like
you?"
Baby's Day Out, but this is Home Alone 3."
It's the same plot as the first one, only more bumps to the head.
The second, they're all the same plot.
But you just said that this one empowers them more than the other one. Absolutely not true.
That's the secret of the. That's why kids love these movies, because they love the fantasy that they have power.
What
That's
sometimes
true.
made these episodes even more fun was that the written reviews would come out a few days before the show would come out. So when you see Ebert give a film a 3-star
I want to see more
rating
clips
and
of it
hear
to know
Siskel
if I've
start
seen
off
it or not.
bashing
I
it right
might
away,
have.
it was
I
pretty
know I've
enjoyable
seen
to anticipate what the
2 of them.
reaction was going to be. And his
At
mouth
least, the
hanging
first
open
2.
the whole time doesn't disappoint.
I thought the kid was generic mop top, and I thought that the
Oh, come on, that kid?
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah, there are only 2 kids.
It's definitely more fun than the movie itself.
Overkill here.
Not for-
Overkill.
not for-
I
for you.
want to say I've
okay.
seen it. Look at that. We got one. There we go. It only took us 2 weeks to find one movie
Our
I've
first movie is
seen.
named Red Sonia, and this one gets the prize against some very tough competition as the single silliest sword and sorcery movie.
A lot of times when Siskel and Ebert watch a
Never
bad
heard of
movie,
it.
they're angry at it. But with Red Sonia, they almost recommend it because of how enjoyably awful it was and how much it made them laugh.
Reminds me of a
This
Devil
one
May
is
Cry,
fun
which I'm
as
playing
there
through
are
right now.
times when it's actually fun, especially when the actors struggle through dialogue that sounds like they've already read the Mad Magazine parody of this film.
Listen to them. They're practically excited to talk about this film that gave them so much joy.
Vermin! What were their lives compared to this? You are mad! The talisman will destroy you!
I think it's been a long time since I've heard a line like, "You're mad, the talisman will destroy you." Meanwhile, they're dropping dirt directly in front of the lens.
Exactly.
Right there, it's inches away from the camera. It's supposed to be falling on them.
If they'd
Oh,
only had
wait.
plastic
Oh,
surgery
instead of
back then in the Middle
low
Ages,
budget.
the movie would have been over.
They almost talk like kids, quoting a movie they just love sitting through so much that they have to relive it by shouting out their favorite
I don't know if
parts.
it's made
They're
by
practically
for
giddy.
kids.
Look out, Sonia!
Oh yeah, no, maybe it is
The
for
best moment
kids.
is when Siskel wants to describe the awkward positioning of the Buddha in this movie.
Huh?
But both of them find it so funny that they can't even find the best way to say it without cracking up.
I had to check to see if my barber did my eyebrows yesterday. He did.
Camp looks like
How does he look, James?
the Buddha looks like.
Now we know why he looks so contented, right?
Why?
Oh, I guess you got to see the movie. I don't want to say that because I don't see the movie. The Buddha looks like he's going to the bathroom.
Thank you
What?
very much.
A lot of times
Do they
get
actually
pissed
show
off
that?
at bad movies, but it's very rare that we see them laugh so hard at a so bad it's good film. I guess
Is
this
it
was
so
their
bad?
equivalent
It's
of
oh
the
yeah,
Buddha.
that's the dirt.
Slaughtered my parents! Like cattle! My brother! My sister!
Her sister, my brother, my family.
We must
not
save
only
my
did she wipe out
family.
Her family, but you
See,
also
some of them
killed
have
her sister and her brother.
Seeing these two snicker like
Mode.
schoolboys who heard their first dirty word is too irresistible to pass up. Red Sonia definitely made them red in the face.
Coming up next to the movies, our next
I mean,
film.
they can just dunk on it. That's fine. Okay. Black screen. Okay, well, here we are. That's Poconos.
Number 5.
Do people even get that reference? I make that reference all the time. I'm not sure if anybody's ever,
First
like,
movie is
acknowledged
Cop
it.
and a Half, and it's an entertaining example of the kind of movie formula I call the one's a movie. For example, one's a cop and one's a robber.
Yet another disagreement, but this one Siskel loved to mock Ebert for constantly for years and years. Ebert has admitted to being slightly more lenient to films than Siskel, and this one even has him saying it's better than Home Alone 2.
This movie has the kind of chemistry between the grown-up world and a smart kid that I look for and missed in Home Alone 2.
Not a huge accomplishment, but Cop and a Half? Siskel has a lot of great opening insults, but this one might be my personal favorite.
How does he say?
Wow, where's your big red suit and beard, Santa? You just gave them a gift.
Wow,
Siskel
that's a
then goes
good
on to
opener.
describe it as a lame cartoon, to which Ebert says that's kind of the point, and then praises Reynolds for playing it so realistic.
Reynolds plays the cop like a real cop instead of playing him like some kind of
What do you mean, like a
cartoon?
like
Marshmallow.
I think it's
It is a cartoon, Jim. It is a cartoon.
a lame one.
good cartoon.
Oh, no.
as someone very
Einstein
familiar
Brothers.
with cops
The two
and
of them
has
talking
several
about
cop
is sadly
friends.
very short, but the review doesn't stop there. In their Worst of the Year episode, Siskel put this as number 1. Unfortunately, at this time, there's no video available of that episode, but IMDb does have the episode transcribed, and it's pretty damn funny. including Siskel saying the only thing more unnerving than this picture is my esteemed colleague across the aisle. So why, so often, is the only major film critic in America who actually recommended Cop and a Half.
Yeah, it's actually Cop and a Half.
Okay,
yeah, no, never heard
it. Maybe you got up on the wrong side of the bed, Siskel says, as did the rest of America. If you get a chance, look over the whole thing. It's a pretty funny read.
That's a good
even then,
comeback.
3 years later, Gene still brings it up as Roger impressively convinces him to change his vote on the movie Broken Arrow from thumbs up to thumbs down. Something neither of them have ever done before.
As you say this, I don't think I've ever done this on this show in 20 years, but
20 years?
I'm going to twist my thumb. I'm going to go just like this, because...
I talked you into it?
Well, what am I really defending here?
Though Ebert is shocked that he actually got Siskel to change his mind, Siskel still gets in the final insult with this.
Do me one
Changing
favor.
opinions
Look in the camera
after you...
and say, I was wrong about Cop and a Half. It wasn't a very good movie. Burt Reynolds.
No, I won't do that.
Oh, wow.
They then start reviewing Cop and a Half again.
Wait,
I
years
saw
later?
Cop and a Half.
Yeah, that no one else did.
As you can see, it's a review so funny it spans several episodes over several years.
Because it was
That's
that
more than enough
big of a deal
on this list.
In any event, you've done a very good thing, and I've also done a good thing too by sticking to my gun.
Okay, well, we have one movie that I'm pretty sure I've seen.
Our next film is called She's Out of Control.
It doesn't help that before
Never
this
heard of it.
awful teen film, they saw a really good teen film. Maybe you heard of it, say anything. But that's only
Nope.
the beginning of their
Haven't
hatred
heard that
for
one.
this flick.
This film exists in a strange netherworld, I think, of what Hollywood considers entertainment, but is really a sinkhole of tawdry values.
This is a movie both of them agree was actually so bad it made them question their careers. Their
What?
careers of being paid to sit and watch movies. Wow. This must have been pretty bad.
I became so depressed, I actually thought about quitting my job as a film critic, feeling as though the movies had abandoned me.
People probably think you're
so
joking
bad.
when you said
No,
that
I
you
meant-
were
I
really
meant that.
thinking of quitting your job. But I know what you felt.
It's actually
That's
so
so
awful
difficult.
that made Ebert think about what
Like-
it means to be alive, what to do with his life, what beautiful moments could be wasted sitting here watching this train wreck.
Life is precious. Life
And
is
just
short.
spending your time
and
watching
the
this.
idiots who made this film are taking 2 hours of my life and robbing it from
As someone
me
that's
in order
watched
to give me less than nothing.
the movie
Ask
Rubber,
of the other people who watched
about the
this
tire.
film, isn't life worth more? Why are you here? We have to be here because it's our jobs, but why do you continue to torture yourselves?
Aren't you surprised that people stay? I've always wanted to stand up in the middle of a bad movie in a theater and say,
Why are
aren't
you
your
here?
lives worth more for 2 hours than the, even say $7 in New York City?
Go stand-
$3.50 an hour. That's below the minimum wage, the new minimum wage. I mean,
the new minimum
get out
wage?
and
Oh,
go
was
out.
minimum
in
wage
the lobby
changed back
and
then?
talk.
I don't think minimum wage
Like
changed
Broken
in my
Arrow, they
lifetime.
practically dismissed the film to go back and
Or
talk about
federally, it
another
hasn't.
film they wanted to talk about.
The next movie we saw the same day was Say Anything, also about a father, also about his daughter.
Right.
Same kind of basic situation, but here's a trash movie and here's a great movie.
Even though they're disgusted, they still seem to be coming at it as people who love movies. And this seems like an insult
And that's
to
why
such a
they're so
beautiful
passionate
craft.
and why they
There's
don't like it.
surprisingly
Why
even
is she
quotes from
bouncing?
other big-name directors in it. Probably the only review of She's Out of Control that has that.
Jean-Luc Godard, the great French director,
Right.
once said, the way to criticize a movie is to make another movie. Oscar Brotman, a Chicago film exhibitor, once told me many years ago, he said, there's a rule. He said, if nothing has happened by the end of the first reel, nothing is going to happen.
You can feel their love for cinema in this, but you can especially feel their hatred for this movie.
A movie
Why
like this
though?
is a crime because
What's
what
wrong
it
with
does
it?
is it robs life from people by requiring them to spend 2
They don't even
hours
talk about what's
having some
wrong with it. They
terrible
just
experience
say
happen
it's
to them.
that bad. Like they're just like, yep, nope, don't watch
Number
it.
3.
It's that bad.
Brain Candy, an audacious, clever, very funny
Candy?
new satire from the comedy troupe known as Kids in the Hall.
The comedy team, Kids in the Hall, only made one movie, and boy did it result in a pretty damn funny review. Siskel found himself really enjoying the film, finding it funny, clever, and good satire.
What is going
I
on?
recommend this picture as kind of a midnight show cult picture, which I
mean, it's
suspect
2 a.m.,
it's
but-
destined to become.
You can practically hear Ebert getting ready to explode, and he does exactly that. When it's his turn, he's so filled with spite he barely even reviews it. He just starts shouting names.
Awful.
Oh, no, Roger.
Dreadful.
No.
Terrible.
No.
Stupid. Idiotic.
No.
Unfunny.
No.
Labored. Forced.
Oh, Roger.
Painful.
Roger, this is
Bad.
I love how the last one is bad,
Just
as if
bad.
that would be lost on us.
Yeah, as if we didn't get the idea.
Retorts with, honestly, what anyone says when they just disagree with what's funny.
What happened to your sense of humor?
And that's That's kind of what it comes down to. One found it funny, the other didn't. There's honestly not a ton to discuss in this case, but to see such a nice and almost humble review shot down so quickly, loudly, and bluntly, how can you not get a laugh out of the contrast?
My sense of humor was starving for a laugh.
Oh, no, Roger.
It almost turns into Joe Pesci and Ray Liotta from Goodfellas.
Who?
The drag stuff was funny.
So what?
Funny how? I mean, what's funny about it?
What do we, so what if it's
They're in
funny?
drag. Why is it funny? Why is it funny that they're in drag?
Funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you?
Roger's
Also,
so
there's
pissed
a
he
bottle
says he
of
can't
Crown
even
on the
talk
table.
about it, to which Gene reminds him it's kind of their jobs.
We're different universes here. We can't talk about it. Can't talk about it. It's not funny. I didn't laugh
We
once.
get paid to talk about it, Roger.
Okay.
Roger at least admits he's happy for Gene.
He's
and
so
don't be surprised
upset.
Gene takes that as a compliment.
And that's throughout the
Well,
picture.
I'm happy for you.
No, but, well, at least it's a start.
Even
Oh,
as
well.
they wrap up the entire episode, Gene still pushes it hard.
Brain candy, Roger. Brain candy.
Ding dong, man. Ding dong.
What?
Ding dong, yo.
Why is
I
this
wish I could
repeated?
do,
out.
Gene.
Check
I
it out.
I think
No,
you've
no,
been
no.
taking too much of it.
No, I'll tell you what. I'm going to see this picture again. I'm laughing.
Why?
Okay, maybe I will too.
Oh,
It's a start, I guess.
I mean, at least
I
he's
don't know
open
if
to the
Roger
idea.
will check this movie out again, but one thing's for sure, this reaction was a lot of fun to watch.
Will you look at this picture again? Maybe.
Sure I will. I'd be happy to.
Oh, but I'm not that happy to
Maybe
look
in
at it
the
again.
21st century.
Okay, this is the second best.
Number 2.
Benji the Hunted. You'd think this was an Edward G. Robinson or maybe today an
What?
Arnold Schwarzenegger film.
You might be wondering what
huh?
the hell is Benji the Hunter
Aw,
gonna get out of
doggo.
these two, but surprisingly,
that? Is that
it's
a cat?
lot. It's weirdly one of the most
I miss my
heated
cats.
arguments they ever
kittens.
had. Siskel says he didn't like how few cute moments there were and how there was too much action.
thought- Well, it's
Benji
supposed
the
to be-
Hunted is too action-packed and not cute enough.
Aw.
Benji the Hunted exhausted me. This is the first time I wanted to tell a dog to slow down and stop to smell the flowers.
Ebert surprisingly has a joke that almost agrees with Siskel's review.
Well, there is a little suspense in the movie. Like, for example, will Benji be able to protect those cougar cubs until they get big enough to eat him?
But he jumps right into defending it, and they go at it pretty heavy over Benji the friggin' Hunted.
Gene, your review is the typical sort
Will
of
they make a
blasé,
movie about anything?
sophisticated, cynical review.
I'll take the
I
word
would
sophisticated.
I would expect from an adult.
Jesus, was Benji your dog?
Or you're wrapping yourself in the flag of children, and I'm saying better.
And I'm not wrapping myself in the flag of children. You're wrapping yourself in the flag of the sophisticated film
No,
critic who's
boredom.
seen it all.
No, boredom with
I don't
Benji
think
running.
that
How often do you hear a critic, in all honesty, with pure frustrated anger shout, boredom with Benji running?
Boredom with
I don't
Benji
think
running.
Which
Did
I
you
don't even know
grow
what
up,
that's
Roger,
supposed
with
to.
the boredom of Benji running? I did. I can't go back. Siskel even seems to change
The
his
Hunted,
review
but-
from relaying it as just not a very good film
To a bad one.
total garbage at the end.
Oh.
Black Stallion is a great film. This is
Oh, well, I
garbage.
recommend films for kids that are bad, but I'll tell you what, whether it's good or bad.
I mean,
think kids
in
will
order to
really
appreciate
enjoy
the
it.
good ones, you gotta see the bad ones,
A
alright?
ringing endorsement. It's just so funny / kind of odd to see two grown film critics get so
About a
heated
dog
over
movie.
Benji the goddamn Hunted. It seems like a lot of their most heated agreements seem to be around
Some of
kids'
you will
films,
probably
which
watch
once
these
again shows
movies.
They do take every genre very
At least heard of
seriously.
them.
Maybe even a little too seriously.
I'm not wrapping myself in the flag of children. You're wrapping yourself in the flag of the sophisticated film critic.
This is definitely an enjoyably crazy argument to get a few chuckles at.
No, boredom with
I don't
Benji
think
running.
that any-
Before we get to number 1, here are some runners-up.
Oh, we're actually doing
Make it
runners up.
lunch. They both agreed it was disgusting and disturbing, and that was the intent, but Ebert found he couldn't recommend it because it just did its job too well.
I guess I have to vote thumbs down, but at the same time with a footnote that I admire what he did, and I hate it.
I hate it.
Strange.
The Guardian. They both crack
Never
up
heard
at
of
the
it.
idea of tree gods, and Ebert tries telling a joke that Siskel not surprisingly shoots down.
This movie breaks important new ground, and this is something that movie trivia experts
Oh, you're
should
going to
study.
be funny now.
Yes, I am. I'm going to be funny.
Oh, yeah.
This is the first horror movie in which a chainsaw is used against a tree. Thank you for that enormous laugh of support.
Well,
there.
it's
My
not that
funny
funny.
remark.
It's not that fun.
They had a
Jaws
good
the
time
Revenge.
poking fun of this film, but particularly one film flub that even Ebert had to shout out in the middle of the screening.
I was sitting in the theater and I said, his shirt is dry. You know, the preview audience
Laugh.
appreciated that. You know,
Yeah.
I always hate it when people talk during the movies, but I don't know, that seemed to go over pretty well.
Curly Sue. Siskel literally shouts his amazement
Her-
before Ebert can give his review of it.
And this is a cornball exercise in sentimental manipulation, but I don't care because
so
it
lost.
works.
What?
The rest of the
do you
time,
mean
you can
it
hear
works?
Siskel snickering and scoffing before it's even his turn, resulting in some good snickering from us as well.
By the rude and annoying off-screen
Why does that
noises
guy
you've
kinda
been
look like
emitting,
Jim?
I take it that you do not agree.
Pardon
Now
the
let's
Nostalgia
get
Critic.
to it. The #1 funniest Siskel and Ebert review is...
It's going to be...
A boy played by Elijah Wood gets fed up with his folks in that scene from North.
It's
I know Elijah
kind of
Wood.
Beautiful how much these two hate this movie.
North?
I brought up before
Just
that they
North.
take their reviews of children's films very seriously, so it only makes sense that they would call this one of the worst films they have ever seen in their entire lives. That's a long line of movies to sit through to pick this out so quickly, but they have no hesitation about it.
And that's the setup for one of the most thoroughly hateful movies of recent years. A movie that makes me cringe even when I'm sitting here thinking about it.
Ebert's review wonderfully rips into it, pointing out both broadly and in detail why it sucks.
I hated this movie as much as any movie we've ever reviewed in the 19 years we've been doing this show.
Dave,
Ebert
that's a
tries
lot
to
of
give little
movies.
sympathy to the director Rob Reiner, saying maybe it was just an unfortunate misstep, but Siskel is not so kind.
I mean, I think you got to hold Rob Reiner's feet to the fire here. I mean, he's the guy in charge. He's saying that this is entertainment. It's deplorable. The ethnic stereotyping is appalling.
Yes.
It's
this is back in the day.
You feel unclean as you're sitting there.
The funny thing is, this movie disappeared rather quickly, and after it
Why?
was gone, I never really heard anyone talk about it. The only reason I still know of this
Also,
film's
it
existence,
looked like he was
and I
in
think
Hawaii
really
and
everyone
then
does,
like
is
up
because of
north
the
and now
hatred
baseball
Siskel and Ebert have
Cowboys?
It's junk. First class junk.
It actually made me watch this movie to see if they were right, and if you see my review, you
But
know
he
they're
actually
too
did a
nice.
review on it?
There isn't a gag that works. You
Is that the next
couldn't
video?
write worse jokes
Or am I
if
have copyright
told you
issues
to
of
write
Soul?
And of
worse.
course, everybody in the movie was vulgar and stupid, and because the jokes weren't funny.
What's great as well is both of them put it as their #1 worst film of the year, which just allowed them to talk about it more.
I had to think a long time to pick my worst picture of 1994, about a
94.
And
I was born in
believe it or not,
97.
It's the same one that you chose.
Oh, well, this
It's
was a
North.
stunning. It's a stunning.
We kept this a secret from each other, and unfortunately, I think I like it even less than you do, if that's possible.
They love digging into what an insult this movie was. In fact, Ebert says possibly his most famous line he's ever said about any bad film.
I hated this movie. Hated this movie. Hated it. Hated every simpering, stupid, vacant, audience-insulting moment of it.
This was so popular, he actually titled one of his books that.
I hated
These two have had their disagreements, but when they agree on something they despise so much, they almost feel like it's their duty to let the world know of its stupidity.
Fair enough.
Can't help but love the fact that these two work together.
Any subject could be done well. This is just trash, Roger.
Okay.
Yikes.
So as you can see, Siskel and Ebert could be very professional, and they could be very unprofessional. So why does that make them great critics? Well, maybe because they show, just
real
like
or
movies,
both sides of things?
criticism can be an art as well. It can be serious, it can be silly, it can be emotional, it can be dry. It can be so much more than just covering the release of a film or just stating your opinion of it. It's not an exact science the same way art isn't an exact science.
That's also
It's about
true.
the passion, insight, and yes, entertainment a critic can bring. And that's always what they did. They loved talking about movies, even when they hated them. Hell, sometimes even more when they hated them. The best thing about them is their critiques didn't help us form our opinions, they helped us express our opinions. And how to do so in a way that was honest and would get people to listen. Because of this, I'd really like to make a push for anyone to try and get clearer versions of these reviews out there.
How would you do that,
But you can
though?
tell the quality of these are not that great. And yes, I know the copyright of movie clips can be very tough to work
Yes,
with,
it is.
but the clips do still fall under fair use, and Siskel and Ebert really did give us
Yeah,
something unique
but
and long-lasting that
the system-
we deserve to see in its clarity. We should be allowed to see their reviews, their reactions, and their arguments in all their crystal clear passion. These
Well,
were
was
the
it
most
crystal
famous
clear
movie critics in the
in
world,
the
and
day?
even after their passing, they're still the most famous movie critics in the world.
Wait,
And
are
it's
they
worth
actually
analyzing in all
the most
clarity
famous
why
movie
that
critics
is.
in the world? I've never
Bottom
heard
line,
of them.
Whether it's for joy, anger, laughs, or appreciation, Siskel and Ebert had a unique passion that could never be duplicated and deserves to be respected.
Leonardo DiCaprio is hunky.
Leonardo DiCaprio is not what we're talking about right now. We're talking
Do they have a
about
live
Las
audience?
Vegas.
What I'm talking about, big boy, he's hunky.
Damn it, G.
You bet your ass I'm going out on that clip.
Fair enough.
I'm a nostalgia critic guy, remember? So you don't have to.
He didn't have any like skits or anybody else.
Boredom with Benji running.
Benji running. Oh man.
Hey,
charity shout out. Whatever this video makes in the first day, will go.
Manga library. This is
they might not accept it. I live in North Carolina.
Literacy through graphic novels, but you have a chance to win 2 of the Nostalgia Critic ties I've worn over the years as part of their auction.
Tend to not allow. Well, I live in North Carolina, but that's South Carolina.
With graphic novels that people can read for free, and right now
they typically don't accept
auction, and 2 of the
unless it's a certain amount. And
ties that I've worn for years and years.
YouTube videos don't. Yeah, it's rough. Shout out to the patrons. I couldn't do this without them.
Until it starts to get some wear and
tear. You'll find out how much this video makes in the first day, which is
so. One of them is completely covered in blood, and the other has a white paint splotch. That was just kind of an accident. But nevertheless, one of these I've worn from 2014 to 2017, and the other I've worn from 2017 to 2019. And all the splotches of fake blood, or
most
water,
videos,
or whatever else is gotten on them is still
probably
on there
80-90% of what the video will make
people usually
will be in the first
more
day
if they're unclean. I think it's odd too, but whatever will help this great charity get more money. The auction, by the time this video goes up, probably only has a few days left. So definitely click on the link and see if you can bid on it, or just go to their website and donate.
But if they do not accept the donation because it's not enough, I will donate it to
These are such good people that do such good work, and they're definitely worth checking out.
That's a diva outfit.
Click on the auction to possibly get my ties, or click on their great website to see how you can
I will donate it to a local charity here in North Carolina that's supporting people affected by Hurricane Helene, which I actually did a charity live stream about a month ago with my friends playing Mario Party, and we ended up raising over $1,200 for hurricane relief for Western North Carolina, which was awesome. So that'd be great. I've never heard of these guys, and now I'm more familiar with them. Whenever I hear Siskel and Ebert, I will definitely remember that from now on. It's sad to hear that they have both passed away. I'm not sure how long ago that was, but that's unfortunate. And I look forward to whatever the next Nostalgia Group video is going to be. And like I said, shout out to the patrons. And I hope you're subscribed. We are so close to 100,000 subscribers. It's going to come down right to the wire of getting it before 2025. It's going to be really, really close. So if you're not already subscribed, I would greatly appreciate it. I do read every single one of your comments. Leave them down below. I got to go respond to that comment that somebody says I will not respond to the comment or not read their comment. So just got to go do that. I'm not sure how old that video was, but I still see every single one of your comments. So leave them down below. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. But until next video, take care. Kitty music.